Hello and welcome to Rain's Kitchen and Garden. My name is Rain. Today I'm going to show you how to make these really delicious goat cheese popovers. In the description below there's a link for the written recipe if you're interested. So why don't I show you how to make these? The first thing you want to do is put your rack to the lower third of your oven and then preheat your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. That's gas mark 8 or 230 degrees Celsius. Next, you want to generously butter your muffin tins. And when I say generously, I mean really, really generously, because these popovers will be sticky. And I'm sure even though I'm putting butter everywhere, I am very generously buttering the whole thing, and I know that I probably still will have some trouble with them sticking to the muffin tins, because that happens to me every time. I have a very old muffin tin here, and I like to say it's well seasoned. It's very well used. I'm probably in line for a new one soon. I should get myself a new one at some point because I do use it quite often. But yeah, really generously butter your tins. I'm going to butter 10 of them because I get between 8 and 10 popovers from this recipe. Okay, I think I've pretty generously, I'm going over them once again with some more butter. They're pretty generously greased. I have read tips that you could warm your pan and then just drop a dab of butter in the middle. I have not tried that. If you have, let me know if that works. But for me, this seems to be the way that works best. So I'm going to set this aside now and get my batter ready. In a large bowl, we're going to measure out our dry ingredients. Now, the first ingredient is all-purpose flour. I have half a cup here, which is approximately 62 grams. I have a quarter teaspoon of salt, which is approximately 1.5 grams. And I've got a half of a tablespoon of finely chopped parsley, which is approximately 2 grams. Now, I didn't have any fresh parsley, so I took some parsley out of my freezer, and you'll see how I prepared it here. I basically tried to dry it as much as I could with paper towels, and then I took scissors and I just cut it up into this finely chopped parsley here. So I'm adding all of that into my dry mixture, and I'm going to whisk that up. And just make a little well in the center. Now, in a smaller bowl, I'm going to add my wet ingredients. I've got a half a cup plus an eighth of a cup of milk. I'm using 2% milk. That's approximately 152 grams. I've got a large egg, and I've got some melted butter here. I have half of a tablespoon of melted butter, and it's cooled a little bit. That's approximately 7 grams. And I'm going to whisk that all up. And I'm going to pour that into the well of my dry ingredients here. And I'm going to stir that very well to make sure it's combined. And I want it to be just combined. You might see some lumps in it, but that's okay. We don't want to overstir. Just make sure all the flour is combined, and as soon as it is, then you're done. Just go underneath with your spatula to make sure it's all combined. Scrape down the sides. All right. See what I mean? It's a little lumpy, and that's what you want. Now I've got my 1/4 cup measuring cup because that's approximately how much I'm going to put in each of the muffin tins, okay? Just a little less than 1/4 cup. I'm going to try not to make a mess here. So I've got my bowl over the tin. And I always say it takes 8 to 10. It makes 8 to 10 servings, because it all depends on the size of your egg and how accurate you are with your measurements. You might be able to get 8, you might be able to get 10, you may only get 7. At this point, I'm just going to grab my spatula, if I can find it, and try to get everything out of that bowl. And I'm just going to free pour here. I may only get 8 here. Yeah, I think I'm only going to get 8. Get a spatula and really get all of that batter out. I'm making a mess because I'm at a bad angle here. So I'm going to grab a paper towel, and I want to make sure that all of that batter is cleaned up, because the last thing I want is for it to burn. And what happened is in wiping off the batter, I've wiped off some of that butter. And because I didn't use these last two, I'm going to pull some of that butter out and just go over the area that I wiped here, just to make sure that I've got all the butter distributed well around the popover area. Okay, so now let me turn this around for you. I've got my goat cheese right here. I've got about 75 grams of goat cheese. That's, I think, probably close to about 1/3 cup. And I'm just basically I'm just putting some in the middle. I don't even know how much I'm putting in, maybe this much into the middle of the popover. So I say there's 1/3 cup, 75 grams. You may use more, you may use less. It's up to you. Now, I make my own goat cheese, and one of these days when I find time, I'll do a video on how to make goat cheese at home. It's really easy. And it's so nice to make your own cheese because you know what's going in it. There's no preservatives in there. No bad chemicals as far as I'm concerned. I'm just going to put in a little more in some of these that I was a little stingy with here. There's a little piece of cheese there. I'm going to put that into the batter. Okay, so I've got my goat cheese in, and I'm going to put this in the oven now. So that's going into the oven for 10 minutes. Now when the 10 minutes is over, don't open your oven door. Leave it closed because we're going to reduce the heat and bake it for another 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, so the first 10 minutes is over. Do not open the door of the oven, but turn your oven down to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 180 Celsius, or gas mark 4, and bake your popovers for another 8 to 10 minutes until they're starting to brown and fully puffed. It might be hard to see because my oven door has a lot of stains in the middle of it, but my popovers are rising. I've noticed that my popovers are starting to brown on the sides, so I think it's time for me to take them out. They've been in for 8 minutes. Now, to get them out of the pan is very interesting. Some places say they should pop out real easily. Like if you look at Martha Stewart's website, she says invert them right away and they'll pop right out. But that's not my experience. I don't want to invert them because what happens when I invert them is that they flop. They basically, the pop is gone of the popover. And mine sank a little bit. They sank a little bit. Basically what I'm doing, I guess you can't see off camera, I'll do it with this one here. I'm taking a knife and I'm just going over the sides right away with a knife, just a butter knife, and I'm removing them from the pan immediately. That one came out very easily. Let me move my pan ahead a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Some of them pop out quite easily, but some of them need a little bit of help. There we go. That's why I really butter them very well to make sure that they'll come out of the pan and not stick. That one popped out right away. Let me move all this stuff, make it look nicer. And there we have it. These are our popovers. These should be served right away because they're warm, they're delicious, and they're fresh. They taste best right out of the oven. I hope that you enjoyed this video, my friends, and I hope that you try making these popovers. If you have any popover secrets, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and yes, please do leave me a comment. And I'll see you next time on Rain's Kitchen and Garden. Bye!